Good morning. Today on 10 News Conference, the two Republicans hoping to replace Sheldon Whitehouse in the Senate. State Representative Patricia Morgan and Ray McKay, they're both in with me before Tuesday's primary.
Holding the powerful accountable from Washington, D.C. to right here in southern New England. This is 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti.
This is 10 News Conference. Well, time is short because we're going to polls on Tuesday. So let's get right to the Rhode Island Republicans hoping to win Sheldon Whitehouse's Senate seat, provided they prevail in Tuesday's primary. State Representative Patricia Morgan is with me, also Ray McKay, both in studio. We'll get into your background a little later, but you know what? Let's dig right into it now. Let's talk the economy, most important thing. Kamala Harris has her own idea. Adjust the capital gains tax, raise taxes on people making more than $400,000. Donald Trump says put in tariffs on the Chinese goods coming in, incentives for American manufacturing. Let's begin with you, since you're in politics already. Who's got the better idea, and what would you do if you get to the Senate?
I think Trump actually does have the best ideas. You can't tax yourself into prosperity. Mm-hmm. When you take money away from average folks, they have nothing to spend then. Mm-hmm. We need them to be out there with their money spending, buying things. We need to bring manufacturing back to our country. One of the real weaknesses is that we have for decades now been allowing all of our manufacturing jobs to go to China and other countries. We need to bring it back.
So you would support Trump if he says, I'm going to put tariffs on? I'd like your support for that. You're in with him on that.
It's a political tool.
Okay. How about you, Ray?
Tariffs? I am definitely for tariffs. I have been for a long time. Had a long discussion with Ambassador Mittendorf many years ago about it. This is a global economy, and people are competing against citizens, against the American dream with cheaper labor. And that's just unfair to our American workers. Rather than raising themselves up, they're making us lower our standard of living in America.
What brought inflation up? What in your idea, in your mind, why do we have inflation the way we do?
The way we do today is because of the flooding of the market from the federal government spending so much money.
Okay.
We're increasing the amount of money we borrow. We're up to, I think, $37 trillion in the moment. It just bad the way they're managing themselves. They're not managing themselves. They're spending like drunken sailors.
Okay, too much free money. A lot of that went out under Trump at the beginning of COVID. You know, we want to be factually correct here. Is it too much free money we flooded the country with, and that's why we have inflation? And what would you do to bring it down?
The federal government is spending 40% more than it takes in. 40% more. Mm-hmm. Where is that money? It's imaginary money. We're just printing it. And yes, that fuels the inflation. They just came out with the jobs report. We've lost 24,000 manufacturing jobs in the last month and gained 24,000 government jobs. Mm-hmm. That's not good for long-term for our country. We need to get manufacturing here. Manufacturing is what actually grows wealth. We have been shipping our wealth offshore. What would we do? There's a lot of wasteful spending, and I think we're not putting that spending in the right places, and we're spending too much on things that really hurt our economy rather than help it.
Well, Trump says he'd bring Elon Musk to be kind of a government efficiency czar. So you would support Trump on tariffs. He'd have your support on that. He wants to cut taxes. He always talks about that. He says, I'm going to cut corporate taxes and other taxes. Would you support that?
Growth. It always spurs growth. When you let people keep more of their own money, they spend it, and they spend it on things that make jobs. So yes, I actually absolutely have always been, right, in the General Assembly, have always been about keeping more money in people's pockets. They're the best ones to spend it. Government spends money poorly. Okay, how about you? You would support Trump's tariffs, I assume, and his efforts to cut taxes. You would go along with that?
Definitely. So the reason you cut taxes is you want, again, as Rep. Morgan said, you want to put money back into the people's pockets. You want them to grow the economy the way we see fit. Yeah. We need to bring the American manufacturing back to the United States of America. We're a very good people, a benevolent people. People have taken advantage of us, and we've moved all the jobs overseas. They need to come back. We need to reinvest in America. That has to happen.
Okay, so in the first couple of opening minutes, the two of you agree on maybe 2 or 3 items that we just discussed. So why would I have to pick and choose between the two of you? We have to make a decision, but why should I put you and Ray over Rep. Morgan, who has a history of talking out against taxes, things like that? Why would I pick you over the Rep?
Overall, honor, integrity. We take a look at Rep. Morgan's record over the years, which is pretty good. Pretty good. I'll give credit where credit's due. But also, let's take a look at the 2018 race. One time, when push comes to shove, you have to be able to support your own. You're not a rubber stamp by any means. I'm not a rubber stamp by any means. In 2018, she ended up supporting our independent candidate when she lost to Joe Trillo. I mean, when she lost to Alan Fung, my apologies. And go back to this spring. Rep. Morgan, I understand, nice lady, has a deep heart for Rhode Islanders. Tax and spend is never good, and readjusting spending tax money.
Well, she's not tax and spend. She just said that I'll let her support herself, but that was that was made clear.
Well, let's go back to your March 12th show.
Yep.
On this channel, she was defending her $40,000 of spending for first-time home buyers. So just because the money's already in the tax budget doesn't mean it's okay to continue spending.
All right, so
you want to try and cut and give the citizens more of their money back.
All right, so
not find different ways of government spending it.
I understand, so you would be looking at that incentive as a spend. All right,
yes.
Rep, you're here to defend yourself. Now, he didn't attack your honor and integrity. He said you're a nice person, but go ahead. He did go after you for not supporting the Republicans all the time and for spending too much with this housing thing. So go ahead, it's your floor.
Well, honestly, just the other day on radio, Ray was asked whether he would support the winner of the primary if he didn't win, and he said no. So let's just dispatch that.
Actually, that wasn't.
I'm sorry, that is what you said. Yeah. So it's my turn. Let's see what else. Oh, you know, I've actually been elected. I've been elected 6 times, and I get 60% of the vote in my district. And it is because I am a strong voice. I'm a loud, strong voice, and I'm a hard worker for the peoples of my district. I will do the same for all of Rhode Island. I'm electable. Yeah. Clearly, I'm electable. I'm also have been a fighter for people down in the State House, and I think, you know, before I agreed to run for Senate, we actually did a poll and found that 38% of the people in Rhode Island already know who I am. And of those, 85% said they would vote for me. That's a really good political base to work from.
Right. Just a couple of things I want to nail down. You didn't support the Republican candidate after that race. I think he's correct on that. But you are known as a conservative when it comes to taxing and spending. What about this $40,000 housing thing he just mentioned? Is that spending?
Right now, that money is going to be spent on government housing. I don't want our children to be lifelong renters in subsidized housing. I want them to have the ability to buy their own homes. I didn't have to do that when I was growing up, right? We got through college, we got good jobs. They were jobs that could support home buying. That's not what our children are facing right now. So rather than use that money for government housing, in which our children can never own and can never accumulate wealth, I wanted to take 30 million of it and put it in this fund where they have to work, they have to save in order to get it. Right. But to make our children lifelong renters in subsidized housing, which, by the way, taxpayers will subsidize forever once it's built, I think is the wrong way to go.
Okay, so on that spending, she's all comfortable with it. Now, she said you're not going to support the Republican. Did you say that on the radio the other day? Because
no,
you just accused her of doing the thing.
And so, let's clarify the record on Radio Latino. I was asked if I would endorse. Endorse and support are 2 different things. You've got to take a look at the way her campaign has attacked me, and I'm not a beaten dog. I don't cato to anybody. Would I vote for Pat Morgan in November? Yes, if she was the Republican candidate.
But you wouldn't close ranks and say...
Would I endorse her? No. There is an honor and integrity to running for office, and if you just think anything to say and do to get elected is okay, then that's not.
All right, let's hold
that's
it there.
Issue number 1.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with other issues that would come across your desk if you get to the Senate. Stay with us. 10 News Conference continues.
Thank you for turning to 10, your news leader. 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti continues right now.
Welcome back. That's Ray McKay. He wants to be the next U.S. Senator from Rhode Island. This is Representative Pat Morgan. Ray, you've been in business. You also work for the city of Warwick, telecommunications manager. Rep, you've been in business too and in education as well, so before you went into politics.
That's
that's your background. All right. If I send you to Washington, what are you bringing back since you're business people, what kind of bacon are you going to bring back? That's what Jack Reed does. He's a master at that. Go ahead, Ray. Can you do as good a job as him? Because you'd be a freshman down there.
That is correct. So the freshmen, I'll fight hard for the citizens of the state of Rhode Island, for all the citizens, because this is about 100%, not the 10% elite. We're going to work through the committees. We'll attend all the meetings, and we'll push for our fair share of what's going on. The citizens of the state of Rhode Island pay a good amount of federal taxes, and they deserve some of that back.
Right, but you would agree, Rep, that a freshman Republican would, any freshman, you're not going to get the money Jack Reed gets, and you're not going to get the money Sheldon Whitehouse brings back for us. Why would I put you there practically?
Practically, I think our state always worked better when we had one Republican and one Democrat, Pell and Chafee.
Yep.
They worked together,
but that was a different
side
era.
by side.
That was a different time.
But the Senate is very, very closely split. We do not know what the outcome of the presidential race is going to be. We don't know who's going to control the Senate. I think it makes sense to have one in each camp. You're right, Jack Reed is good at doing it, but I think I will be equally good at getting our share of the funding that we need.
Just practically as a voter, though, I said, well, you need years to develop that kind of clout to get anything for us. Isn't it practically a risk putting a Republican in?
Not in this environment that we have down in Washington now. The Senate is very, very closely split, one way or the other. So every vote counts. My vote will be important down there. One of the things that I look at Sheldon Whitehouse is, yeah, he gets spending, but it's really bad spending, like on offshore wind, that is hurting our fishing industry. You know, so many parts of Rhode Island, it's making our electric bills go up. So yeah, he's spending.
Okay.
He's spending over $1 trillion in subsidies. But are they good for us? No, they hurt us.
Would you vote for Donald Trump? Are you tending to vote for Donald Trump?
Yes.
And how about you, Ray?
Most definitely.
All right, so you're both on board with Trump. She makes a point when she talked about offshore wind. You know, Donald Trump said on day one, I'm going to pull the plug on the whole thing. You support that?
I do. I think offshore wind is destroying our marine environment, and it's causing our electric and heating bills to go up. We need to stop it.
How about you, Ray? Offshore wind. We're investing a lot of money and time in our neck of the woods, Fall River, Massachusetts, Providence, Rhode Island. That's a big thing for the governor. Would you pull the plug, or you support Donald Trump pulling the plug on offshore wind?
By all means, it needs to happen. The United States needs to reinvest. We need to be good stewards of the planet. We need to be good stewards of the planet. The United States needs to reinvest in nuclear power. We just turned on our first nuclear power plant July 31st of 2023 in Georgia after 4 decades. Now the country of France is 65% power generated by their nuclear power plants. So that is where we need to go.
Do you know Sheldon Whitehouse is an advocate of nuclear power?
He may be an advocate, but take a look, follow the money, Gene. Follow the money, see what he's doing, see what his wife's doing. Take a look what Judicial Watch just filed an ethics complaint against him for.
Yeah.
So those are the issues. You can be for anything. I have an opinion. Sheldon Whitehouse has an opinion. Where are your actions? Actions dictate who the person is.
Okay, if you get in, you'd be there. You'd be in January, and the war in Gaza could be raging on. Your thoughts about ending the war in Gaza? Donald Trump says, I'll end it right away. What would you do?
As a member of the United States Senate, I can provide counsel. And I can provide the votes that the president needs. The president has his cabinet, he has his advisors, he has his Secretary of State to go over there and cut the deals that need to happen. Should we end the war? The war should end.
Yeah.
Understand that it's Hamas who's prolonging this war. The people of Palestine are suffering immensely because of their leadership. The Israelis have a right to self-defense.
Well, I guess there's either one or two ways to end it: a ceasefire, call it, whatever happened, or let the Israelis go in and run it over. What would you support?
You would take a look at it. The Israelis doing what they're doing today, they're trying to take out Hamas. The Palestinians need to give up Hamas and help end it. So the Palestinians need to become advocates for the Israelis.
I won't press you for a yes or no answer. It's a tough issue. But as we work our way toward that, Rep, would you support the Israelis going in and just rolling it over and ending it, or a ceasefire? What would you do?
I think Hamas needs to surrender. They've already lost the war, and yet they continue to allow their folks to be shields, to be chewed up and killed. It's Hamas's problem. It's their fault. They need to surrender. And I think that that the United States can be instructive in getting them to surrender. I think we should be 100% behind Israel.
So you would give Israel the green light to go ahead, use a strong hand in forcing them to surrender rather than this talk of a ceasefire?
Honestly,
I don't want to characterize something you're not saying.
No, I think Israel has been as careful as they can be to not hurt civilians. They don't want to hurt civilians. Hamas wants to hurt their own people. What kind of a government allows their people to continue to be killed rather than surrender? They know they've lost the war, but they want more casualties from their people. I think Israel has done, I mean, this is hardly the warfare that we have seen in the past.
Yeah.
They have been very, very careful of trying to shield civilians. But I would absolutely support them in winning it on their terms. Okay, less than 2 minutes now. Let's go to Ukraine. Donald Trump says, I'll end that on day one. How would he do that, and how would you instruct him to do that? So
Donald Trump, if he was still in office today, Putin would have never taken Ukraine. He would have stayed put. We have weak leadership in Washington. The Harris-Biden administration is horrible with their foreign policy. President Trump knows and understands these leaders. He will go in and just tell them it's the end of the day. Putin will have to acquiesce and move back. We have a strong leader. We'll have a stronger Department of Defense once we replace its leadership. Yep. And we act more like Americans and more like a military than we are today. I'll give you the last word on that, Rep.
I think it will
Donald Trump says I'll end at day one. I'm not sure how, but
I think it'll be a negotiated settlement, and that I don't think Ukraine wants to be part of Russia. I'm sure they don't. They were, 12 million of them were starved to death the last time the Soviet Union was in charge of their country. I think, yes, with the right leadership, and I think Trump will give it, it will be a negotiated settlement that will be favorable to Ukraine. Okay, we'll hold it there. It's been an introductory interview. These are the Republican candidates for U.S. Senate. You make a decision on either one of them on Tuesday, and then one will try to take on Sheldon Whitehouse. Thanks for coming in, both of you, and good luck.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. When we come back, the other big primary in Rhode Island, the nasty race for mayor of Cranston. All right, more Washington politics now. In Massachusetts, Attorney John Deaton won a three-way Republican primary for a chance to face off against Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren, now seeking her third term. There's a new head of the Massachusetts State Police by way of New Jersey. Jeffrey Noble was a lieutenant colonel for the New Jersey State Police before retiring 2 years ago. He was selected after a nationwide search that passed over internal candidates in Massachusetts. He was born and raised in Rhode Island and becomes the new boss in October. Governor McKay holding a ceremonial signing this week for the state's new primary voting bill. It allows unaffiliated voters to remain unaffiliated after voting in a party primary. You don't have to go back and disaffiliate and re-register all over again, nothing like that. Rhode Island's primary, as we've mentioned, is Tuesday, September 10th. New rules. On the ballot in Cranston, Mayor Ken Hopkins and Barbara Ann Fenton Fung, two Republicans. Barbara Ann Fenton Fung is the wife of Hopkins' predecessor. They used to like each other, but not anymore.
I'm very confident going into Tuesday.
Hopkins, the incumbent, is trying to fend off the challenge from fellow Republican State Representative Barbara Ann Fenton Fung, who he blames for the timing of the Card lawsuit just before the primary and other questions about his ethics that he strongly refutes.
And they think that that's the way that they can unseat me.
Fenton Fung has also claimed Hopkins helped his son-in-law get a job on the fire department, though the State Ethics Commission tossed a complaint on that. Do you think you've been, and this is what he'll say, painted with the brush that you just bring up negative things and you don't have something to stand on of your own?
When my opponent feels that, when we bring up their record, it is highly negative. That's one of the reasons I'm running against him. If I thought everything was going great, I wouldn't be running. But here we are 4 years later, we're holding him accountable for things that he has not been held accountable for.
Another source of disagreement, city finances. Fenton Fung points to tax hikes in 2 of Hopkins' 4 years.
It's unfortunate that he's unable to control the budget. It's really time to take a look at what the city needs versus what may be the extravagance that has gone on over the past 4 years.
Hopkins claims he inherited a financial mess from Fenton Fung's husband, Alan, when he left office.
I solved the problem of the budget. I fixed the budget.
In touting his record, Hopkins points to projects like the new Eatree Park and surrounding improvements.
This is all a vision that I've had, and I'm moving the city in the right direction. The city is in great shape. Financially, we're heading in the right direction. The infrastructure is being built. We're building 3 brand new schools in the city.
Fenton Fung paints her own vision, like trying to attract biomedical businesses.
So we want to make sure that we're properly funding public education, we're investing in our roads, we're investing in our infrastructure, and that you're getting a really high value for your tax dollar.
Both making character a top issue.
You're going to have the most honest administration that you've seen in a long, long time.
I'm a good person. I don't cheat, I don't steal, and I don't lie.
That first reference Brian made to that car that's been in the news for the past week is a car the mayor got from a constituent. The constituent says the mayor never paid me for it. The mayor says this is all just political mudslinging. We'll see what happens Tuesday. Following what the DOT calls unfounded reports and tweets about compromising cracks on the eastbound Washington Bridge, the director, Peter Alviti, assures drivers on my Ask the DOT segment on the radio that the bridge is safe and at no risk of closing or coming down.
Eastbound is not going down. We had, as I said, 3 companies make an assessment to determine that is structurally sound for the 6 lanes, 3 in each direction.
When I called and asked you, are you closing the lanes on an emergency basis, you said, no, it's electrical work. You didn't mention that it was electrical work to install this sophisticated monitoring system. Should I infer that you are keeping that secret for anybody, that you do not put a press release out for a reason? Because the governor said he didn't know about it.
Absolutely not. We employ these kinds of monitoring systems on a regular basis on many projects.
That's Peter Alviti on Ask the DOT. We do it every Thursday on WPRO. Governor McKay was on WPRO with me Friday for Ask the Governor. He says he's going to the White House next week to try to nail down a $200 million mega grant to pay for the new bridge. And that bellyaching from the Attorney General, Peter Nerona, about McKay not doing enough on the bridge is just more mudslinging from a political enemy.
I'll be at the White House next week. There's a little news for you. Talking to people about, the mega grant that we have in the process. Working with our congressional delegation, and hopefully we're going to be able to deliver on that. Along with, we're tearing the bridge down right now. You have to tear it down before you build it. This work is being done, and now we've also got a legal case. That the Attorney General is responsible for as well, based on the handoff that we did with Max Winstow and John Savage. Okay.
You said you're going down to Washington next week to the White House on the mega grant to pay for the whole thing?
It doesn't pay for the whole thing, but we have an application in that was done immediately when we knew we had to rebuild the bridge, put a new bridge there. It's a couple $100 million. We're working with the delegation. It's a competitive grant, Gene, so it's not a guarantee.
Suing now, it would be the Attorney General, who you don't like and he doesn't like you. How can you guys be on the same page? He's leading the effort to try to recover money, and if he does, you'll look better for that. Is he late to the game? You started this thing with Max Wistow, then he came out and said, well, I'm the one in charge to do when he's suing. You want to square that for me?
I think that we're both capable of defending the state and the people in the state of Rhode Island, and so Max Wistow, John Savage, as they went through the process to determine whether they felt as though there was a cause. So Wendy Schiller, I respect her position, but we're not. These attorneys are not following through on a lawsuit unless there's grounds, they feel as though there's grounds to do it. And then they felt as though that it was important to have the Attorney General in. And
not just important, he says, I'm the one who sues, not them, me.
At the original press conference, the question was asked, where's the Attorney General in this situation? And we said, look, at the right time, the attorneys that I brought in will make that call if, in fact, they feel as though you should. They've made.
All right, a little bit of the back and forth, which will continue next week. That's 10 News Conference. I'll see you on the radio and TV.